What's good, YouTube? Today I want to go over what's coming out in Fusion and Enforcers, and that's the Eidolons. And I also want to tell you how to beat their ass with a side deck card. We're also going to cover Infernoids and a side deck card for them in this video. So basically this is a kind of look forward at some light side decking for this future format coming up for YCS Atlanta. So first, let's look at the tools that the Eidolons have. They have a bunch of really big, nasty fusion monsters, hence the name Fusion Enforcers. And let's go over what they are and what they do. So there's a 2500 attack monster called Merkaba. And basically, this monster is able to stop either a spell or trap activation or monster effect activation by discarding the same kind of card, very much like Ultimate Providence. So very interesting on this card. It kind of requires you to have cards in hand to be able to counter and to pitch as extra resources, but very much so worth it. A really strong card. My personal favorite is actually Purgatorio, who is a 2300 attack monster that gains 200 attack for every card in your opponent's control, which, you know, they're building some large boards, and after you force that Trident, you're able to go in for free range, and this card actually does something amazing exactly against Zodiacs. He gets piercing damage and can attack all of your opponent's monsters at least once. Radine is a 2200 attack / 2400 defense monster that can flip down one of your opponent's monsters once per turn like a Book of Moon to face down defense position. Very strong card, very strong kind of a floodgate monster, whereas Trident's kind of a Regeki break, we have the Book of Moon that actually stops combos from ever being. Alistair's important effect is that whenever he's normal summoned, you're going to go ahead and search a copy of Summoning Magic. Now, Eidolon Summoning Magic is actually able to fusion summon anything like a polymerization, but when it is specifically used for the fusion summon of an Eidolon, you're able to banish the cards from your side of the field or from either player's graveyard. Wow, the mirror matches sure are going to be interesting with that one. It has the added support effect of if this card's in your graveyard, you can target one of your banished Alistairs and return it to your hand by shuffling this card back into your deck. Now, I haven't personally seen much use of this card, but the Book of Law is an interesting Eidolon support card that will actually be a quick play spell card that is able to tribute one of your Eidolon Beasts, which are the fusion monsters, and summon any Eidolon Beast of a different attribute and count it as a fusion summon. Now, Reckless Magic Circle is their field spell and one of the ultimate starters, so you're going to have terraforming access to this too. When it's activated, you add an Alistair from your deck to your hand. Already sounding pretty good here. Also, any of your fusion summons cannot be negated, and you cannot activate effects in response to the fusion summons. Now, what's the ultimate side card for both this and perhaps Frightfurs? Well, let me tell you something here. A very good card is Non-Fusion Area. Now, this card saw a lot of play a while back during the Shadow format in side decks, and people seem to have forgotten it and aren't really anticipating it coming up looking at the prices. Yes, the DR common is quite a bit at a whole whopping $1 again, but there's actually a ton of the commons for quarters and 33 cents. So I heavily suggest you get yours now, because not only will it have the added benefit of stopping alternate engines that I'm already seeing the decks run, like Brilliant Fusion, Instant Fusion, those kinds of things. Basically, they either have to start with a Zoo monster if they're playing Zoo Eidolons and be able to out it through your other back rows, or have a spell and trap destruction, or they're going to have to actually deal with it by overlaying using something like a Thrasher. So yes, there are multiple outs depending on the builds you're playing against, but remember how powerful floodgates actually are, especially when supported by other back row. This card actually plays around the field spell by, when you activate this, you're actually never negating or attempting to negate, you're just actually acting as a floodgate to not allowing them to fusion summon, period. Very similarly with Infernoids, moving forward into our discussion here for side decking. Imperial Ironwall's a floodgate, but I actually think it's a lot worse now. They have triple Zodiac Barrage, they have 3 Decatrons, they have 3 Molmorets they can hard draw. Now, I would understand having this actually as backup to Imperial Iron Wall. But I think the ultimate card as a side deck choice against the Infernoids is Lancea. I think hand traps are super powerful this format, and Lancea happens to be a hand trap that stops them from playing out their turn. They cannot summon Fairy Tale Snow unless they are responding directly to it. So when they activate their Grass is Tastier, you go ahead and pitch your Lancea there, preventing them from doing any plays that turn most likely. Or if you know they're playing it, they're playing 60 cards, you can just pitch it almost immediately and make sure they're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! That turn. Now, I know similar to Dimensional Barrier, this is a one-turn kind of stall tactic rather than a floodgate, but I think Infernoids, despite playing the 60 cards, are going to have so much access to being able to out your Iron Wall that while it may seem like a really good go-to choice that we used to use, I don't think it's actually the best choice. Like non-fusion area against Eidolons, yes, the Wind Witch engine can make a Crystal Wing, yes, they're able to set up in different ways, yes, they might be able to X these, but we're talking about one card. You already know that if you're playing Zodiacs, you're able to use one card to do so much that your other 4 cards are just bonuses, and having one of those bonuses be non-fusion area, backed by maybe a Dimensional Barrier, they're not getting through to you. Even if they have Twin Twister, you stime their turn with the D barrier, you have your face up Regeki Break-like effect with your I'm going to say Trident, and you're just able to stime them so much. So what do you guys think about side decking moving forward and these simple options that I've mentioned? It's really easy to see that people are actually getting excited about the Fright for Fluffle Engine 2, and I think this just has an added bonus with the non-fusion area of being able to stop the Fluffle deck alongside the much more popular Eidolon deck. I know so many duels testing Eidolons, trying them out. They're using the Brilliant engine with it, like I said, in order to be able to try to summon a Zodiac and go off with Eidolons in the same turn, or be able to do other things. I think the Zoo engine will actually be more popular, perhaps, than the Wind Witch engine, although being able to summon huge monsters alongside that Crystal Wing on the following turn is really good, because field wipes are so popular and that Crystal Wing is going to be so hard to crack without a direct Kaiju. But instead of rambling and going into Theorio of, oh, this person can have this person can have that, look at how powerful Vanity's Emptiness is in this format. It is literally winning and locking games just like it used to. You can have all the spell and trap destruction you want, but it doesn't matter if you're not drawing it. And that's just really the unfair thing about floodgates like this. And I think non-fusion area is one of those not fair floodgates to Eidolons that are really going to make it so hard for them to play. And if you have any supporting back row with it, and they don't have their spell and trap destruction out, which, you know, Eidolons aren't trying to toss away free cards, I would say you have a very, very strong setup that really can't be messed with too much unless they're having an amazing hand just to counter that specific situation. They're already going to be prepared to play around Dimensional Barrier. You know, the game's not over in just one turn anymore. Despite everything happening so much in one turn, duels are going to last more than 3 turns in this format, and the grind games will always be real and show a lot of the skill that plays out. So I think, unfortunately, this is actually a card that kind of eliminates some of that skill, because floodgates just kind of naturally are that way. Look back to Necros format. How many people died to mistake? You'll still hear Billy yell about that and scream about it. So I think this is very similar to those situations where it's like, you have to draw that out and have more for my other stuff. Thanks for watching, and again, this is a super cheap budget option to play against the decks, rather than, especially if you don't have Dimensional Barriers in the first place, since they're $84. This is definitely one of your answers against the Eidolon Beast, with the added bonus, kind of just like how System Down hit desk spots when everyone was playing Cosmo, and so many people were trying to have fun and they were just getting System Down. Thanks for watching. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and want to hear more discussions like this on tech cards and side deck cards, rather than just like highlighting specific kinds of cards. I kind of like talking more about side decking, because that's kind of where a lot of people seem to be lacking in their game at times. You know, throughout YCS, what do I take out for this? What do I do for this? That's kind of the harder option than what do I side deck. But I really do enjoy talking about the kind of terms of countering the formats.